Hello, hello, hello. Going on a few minutes early just to make sure everything's working. Seems like it is. So, here I am. Okay. Even though I'm a technology guy, this is all new technology, so you know how that goes. It's all got to get set up. Set up and tested. Okay. Got 2 minutes to go. I think we're getting a couple people joining us. Just give it another minute or so, and then we'll get started. All right, everyone, thank you for coming. It's so nice to see you. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching the recording later, I welcome you. And to all my friends, old and new, if we haven't met in person yet, welcome. So today, I want to talk to you about a little bit about my health journey, who I am, and the things that I've learned as part of a mindful eating practice that I think can really help anyone who wants to be healthier, right? It's not just about losing weight, although we'll talk about that. Today, I want to give you some information that you can put into practice immediately. That's pragmatic. And what I'm going to start off with is just an introduction. My name is Mark Mangus, and I'm a technologist. I've been in the technology field for 30 years, and mostly in healthcare IT, but also in a lot of other different fields. And I've always struggled with my weight, and I've had several near-death experiences related to the medication I was taking for the pain that I was in. And that's really several years ago is kind of what led me on this health journey that I'm on now. But to give you the highlights, back in 2019, I was at my heaviest. I actually weighed 407 pounds. And today I'm down to 298. So it took several years, but I'm on my way to being at a healthy weight, a goal weight. But beyond that, the other health benefits that I've experienced are significant. Um, it's probably too many to list here, but to give you a short list, my eyesight has improved significantly. The quality of my skin, hair, teeth, all those things have improved by leaps and bounds. I have more energy, more mental clarity than I have since I was in my 20s. And it's all due to the decisions that I've made and the choices I've made around my relationship with food. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm still in the technology field, but I've recently gone through a pretty significant 6-month education and initiation program with the Four Winds Academy to become a certified shamanic practitioner. And my modality is energy work. And I work with people that have a whole myriad of different challenges in their lives, things that are not working for them anymore and that they want to change. Physical is part of it. That's the body part, but we also focus on the mind and the spirit and your relationship with the universe. So I will be having live streams and workshops on this topic later. But without any further ado, let's dive in and talk about mindful eating. So what is mindful eating, right? It's a form of a mindfulness practice. And if you're not familiar with mindfulness meditation, which is quite popular these days, one of the pioneers in the field is Jon Kabat-Zinn, if you want to look for him. He was one of the first to bring mindfulness, I think it was 30 years ago, into a clinical setting to help people with cancer, to manage their pain and to manage the symptoms of the treatment as well as the symptoms of the disease. So I have tons of respect for Jon Kabat-Zinn. He has a wonderful book called Living the Full Catastrophe, which I highly recommend. That kind of goes into the whole philosophy behind mindfulness. So how do we apply that to eating, right? So the idea behind mindfulness is that we go inward and we go into a quiet place that we all have inside of us. And we just observe anything that comes in, any thought, any feeling that comes in. We just observe and we let it go. We let it flow. And if we get hung up on a thought or a feeling that comes into our field, as soon as we are aware that we're dwelling on that, we can then let it go and forgive ourselves, be kind to ourselves. It's not about doing it right or wrong, but I can tell you that the more that you practice this stillness, this mindfulness, a sense of peace will come over you. And if you've never done it before, it's a peace like you've never felt. I remember several years ago when I started doing this, and I was really blocked about meditation. I just didn't get it. I couldn't do it. My mind wouldn't shut off. Even if you can do it for 2 minutes and then 3 minutes and then 5 minutes, you get to the place where that sense of peace becomes your default state. I'm still looking for that, by the way. I'm still on my journey. Some days it's easier than others, but that's the idea behind mindfulness. I'm sure an expert could give you a deep dive into, all the philosophy behind it. But for our purposes today, that's good enough. When you apply mindfulness to eating, the idea behind it is to really be present with the before, during, and after you actually consume the food. Okay, so let me explain. The idea behind it is when you think about eating, what's your trigger? Triggers are key here, right? Is it a craving? Is it because you saw a hamburger commercial on TV? Is it because your tummy's rumbling and making noises? What is it? What is it? And what you do with mindful eating is you just observe that. You don't have to act on it. You might want to. And in the early stages of this exercise, you might jump right in and want to eat, and that's fine. Again, this is about being kind to yourself and learning and bringing that peace in. So the trigger can be anything. Once you get the food, when you eat it, how do you eat it? Notice how you eat. Where are you? Are you sitting in front of the TV on the couch? Are you sitting at a table with the family or friends? How are you doing the eating? And how does it support you or not in eating in a healthy way? And not just the food you're consuming, but how you're eating, how you're chewing. Are you taking your time? These kinds of things. Just observe, don't judge, right? And then after you eat, how do you feel right after? Do you feel full? Are you stuffed? Are you packed? 10 minutes later, 30 minutes later, how did that food make you feel? Does it feel like you've got a lead weight in your stomach? Are you still hungry a half hour later? What are these feelings? So the first step is don't do anything. It's just observing, right? And I can tell you, having done this myself for years and having shown other people how to do it, just doing that is a significant way to improve what you're eating, because when you're mindful and you're observing everything and you kind of slow down time and you go into that peaceful place, you'll notice things that you maybe want to change. And my advice to you from experience is change is good, change is inevitable, change is always happening. But don't be in a hurry, okay? Just do it slowly. Slow, sustainable changes. So maybe it's, you don't get that extra helping, or you don't, when you have a choice, you don't choose the hamburger, you choose something else, right? Over time, and you will notice the difference, I guarantee it. You'll notice a difference in your energy. You'll notice a difference about your feelings about yourself, your feelings of acceptance, your feelings of love toward yourself, right? So that's kind of the first stage. The second stage is while you're eating, and we're going to do an exercise in a minute, I want you to notice everything about the food that you put in your mouth in that moment, right? How does it feel on your tongue? How does it feel in your hand? Are you using a fork? Is it something you're eating with your hand? How does it feel in your mouth? The texture. How does it taste? Obviously, that's what we all focus on, is the taste, right? But really look at the taste, all the textures and all the flavors of that food. And if you take the time to do that, what you'll notice is you slow your eating way down, right? And you'll feel full sooner, and you'll stop eating sooner. So again, small sustainable changes, but we talked about step one: before, during, and after, right? How do you feel? Just observe. This next step is go a little deeper when you're eating. When you put something in your mouth, really be present with it. How does it taste? So we're going to do an exercise today where we get into that. And what I'm going to ask you to do is take a deep breath, 3 deep breaths, and I'm going to do it with you in just a minute. Hold it for 3, and then let the breaths out for 3, and then empty your lungs for 3. Okay? So it'll make sense when you see me do it. If you haven't done box breathing before, we're going to do this. This really helps us get connected to ourselves, kind of shut out all the chaos of what's going on around you. So go to a place where you can do that. Hopefully you have a little bit of food as well. Anything is fine. It doesn't really matter what it is for this exercise. So let's do that. So first, 3 breaths in, hold it for 3 count, 3 breaths out, and then 3 breaths empty. So there's 4 steps, okay? So breathe in. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in for 3. Good. Don't you feel a little more peaceful? It kind of throws some more oxygen into your bloodstream, makes you feel a little peaceful, right? So now take that piece of food. I've got a piece of cacao. It's a little, I don't know if you can see it. This is pure cacao. It doesn't have any sugar in it. So take that, kind of feel it in your hand if you can, if you're not using a fork. And what does it feel like? Are there any memories that come up? Any feelings that come up? Okay. Put it in your mouth. Close your eyes. Really be present. Interesting creamy texture. And it's a little bitter because it's pure dark chocolate. but it's pleasant. It's a good feeling. Does it bring up any memories for you? Do you remember having this flavor before? What's the first time you can remember tasting this? Is it a good memory or one that makes you feel anxiety or negative emotions? Just observe. Now, as you swallow it, how do you feel now that you've eaten it? So how do you feel immediately afterward? Good. It's a really powerful exercise just to slow down and be present with whatever you're doing in life in general. But in eating, it can be a game changer, and it was for me. What I realized was that I was trying to eat healthy, and I was eating things that on paper were good for me, but I wasn't really changing my health and I wasn't really losing weight. And when I started doing this, what I realized was that I was eating too much. I wasn't snacking. I was never really a snacker, and I never really liked sweets, but I was eating too much. So portions is a big deal. And the next segment, I'm going to talk about a Japanese practice that really encapsulates what I'm trying to say here. It's called harahachibu. I'll put that on screen. Harahachibu. I love saying that. So harahachibu is about eating until you're about 80% full and then stopping. It's something that it came up in Okinawa, and it's just part of the overall Zen way of life that even common people practice in Japan. You don't have to be a monk or anything. And it promotes a sense of being sated, being satisfied, and obviously prevents overeating, right? So you can't really do that unless you're eating at a pace that your body can keep up with. Because if you're just eating really quickly and you fill yourself up, your body doesn't have time to react, right? So by the time you feel full, you're already over full, right? So if you slow down, you'll find that your portion sizes decrease. And the good rule of thumb is if you hold up your hand and you look at your palm, this is a portion size for you, for your body, right? It's one of those magic ratio things. That's a portion size. So think about when you go to a restaurant, any restaurant, pretty much, the portion sizes they give you, unless it's like a really high-end gourmet multi-course kind of restaurant or a small plate restaurant. Ironically, the small plate restaurants like tapas, that's actually a portion. That's what you should be eating. Not a whole bunch of plates, but one plate at a time. So doing this exercise will help you dial into what your body actually needs, which is a lot less than all the media and all the chaos around us is telling us we need, especially if you watch commercials that really, and you don't need that, right? You don't need nearly as much food as the commercial sector and the government tells you need. So enough about that. What I want to do is give you a challenge that you'll try this. Now, I know that a lot of you have very hectic lives. You have kids you got to cook for. You've got, a spouse, friends, you go out a lot, whatever your lifestyle is like. Make space for this. You don't have to do it at every meal, right? But find a place to do it, find a time to do it, and try it. And try the Hara Ichibu, okay? So this is, so far, has been kind of a very lightweight exploration into mindfulness. We could go much deeper, and I will in successive live streams, but very accessible for most people to try this. You don't have to know how to meditate. Don't put that pressure on yourself, right? Just try this. And then when you're eating, before, during, and after, and during, do the exercise that I just told you. Even the breathing part, right? The breathing part really helps center you. So the next part for me that was a game changer was what I'm calling the body dialogue method. Okay. And this gets a little bit more into the spiritual side, but don't let that scare you. If you don't consider yourself spiritual or religious, that's fine. You don't have to. It'll still work, believe me. The latest cutting edge science in how the body mind connection works supports what I'm going to show you. There's a lot of researchers out there that are doing things like this in clinical settings to do clinical trials with supported peer-reviewed evidence that shows that this works. So let me take you through the thought process and how I did it. This is Mark, what worked for Mark. You might want to tweak it to work for you. But the idea is, obviously your body is a living thing, right? But you are not your body. Your body is here on this planet, in this reality, to carry you through your experiences and to be your physical expression. But you are a spiritual being. You're an energetic being that's having a physical experience. Okay? You're not your body. So keep that principle in mind. Whether you agree with it or not, just let it lie there for a minute and let it soak in, so to speak. Your body does whatever you tell it to. Now let me qualify that. A lot of us that are not aware of this connection and this dynamic have a lot of negative self-talk going on in our mind all the time. Oh, you don't look good in that. You look fat. You're really out of shape. Your hair's thinning. Your eyesight's going. Whatever it is, right? This is what the body is hearing, because we're all part of this connected being. We're all part of this integrated being. So your body does its best job to do what you're telling it to do. If you tell it negative things, it's going to try to express itself in negative ways. The ultimate form of this is disease. You do this for years, high anxiety, anger, not expressing your feelings, not telling people you love them or not love them, right? Keeping all that bottled up. The science backs this up. That actually causes disease. Now, they don't have it pinpointed yet to this feeling over this amount of time causes this disease. But the clinical evidence that I've seen and the studies that are out there, I'm not even mentioning the spiritual traditions, which I'll talk about in a minute, but the scientific part of it bears this out, right? If you work to lower your stress and you eat better, obviously your health's going to be better. Everybody kind of knows that. That's like institutional knowledge. But what we don't know in the Western world is, how does that actually work? How do we actually have a dialogue with our body? Well, let me tell you, it's simple. It's deceptively simple. The way that your body talks to you is simple, right? It expresses itself. You eat something you're not supposed to, what happens? You get an upset stomach. That's the body's language. You shouldn't have eaten that. You know you shouldn't have eaten that, and I'm going to tell you about it now. You're going to have an upset stomach, right? It can express itself over time in things like allergies and intolerances. Gluten allergies is really common now, right? And it's not just because we have a polluted food supply with glyphosate in it and other nasty things that were never meant to be consumed by humans or actually anything. But it's your body's reaction telling you, I can't really break this down right now in my current state of health, right? So the body dialogue method is really about two things. One is start engaging in a dialogue with your body, and it might seem silly at first, but it works. What I do right now today, if I am faced with a situation where it's an unfamiliar food. Now, I've recently become vegan. I've been vegan for about a month. And it was because of this dialogue that I have with my body. No other reason. I mean, sure, I love animals, but I'm not one of the people that runs around with a sign saying meat is murder and telling people shame, 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 because I know that that doesn't change anybody, right? Change has to come from within. But I am a vegan. So when I'm in a social situation or I'm faced with eating something that I don't know if I can tolerate, I ask. I say, hey, body, should I eat this? And since I've been doing this for a couple of years now, I get an immediate answer. Your body's very quick on the draw, and it's usually yes or no, short. No explanation, no story. Yes or no. Okay. I put it down. And I can do that because at this point, I've been working on these methods for so long. And as part of the shamanic training I've gone through, we did a program called Grow a New Body, which is really about rebuilding your gut bacteria and rebuilding your brain, gut and brain, right? I'm not triggered by anything anymore. So I can have that stillness and peace and just say yes or no. I'm going to eat this or I'm not going to eat it, right? So my body will tell me. Sometimes even the stuff that I eat every day, like leafy greens, try to eat for color. I eat lots of different types of vegetables. I eat seeds and nuts, that kind of thing. If I'm not sure about it, I'll get a little tickle that tells me, I don't know about that. I'll ask, should I eat this right now? No. Okay, put it down. It's that simple to have a dialogue with your body. Now, one thing that I did that I learned from Greg Braden and the Heart Math Institute many years ago, I didn't really get it when he told me what it was, so the live stream I was watching. But it's so true now. It's like my mantra. When you start to have a dialogue with your body, one of the things you can do is say, I'm going to give you the best food I can in the moment. Now think about those words. You're not promising something unrealistic. You're not saying I'm going to eat the cleanest food, the best source, I'm going to go vegan today. None of that. That's not what you're saying. You're saying I'm making a compact, an agreement with you, body. I'm going to give you the best food I can in the moment. And you're going to be learning more about food as you go on this journey and what it does and what certain things are good for and what they're not. So this is going to be an evolving thing. But if you can make that agreement with your body, you'll start to see that your thoughts, feelings, and emotions go into alignment, go into coherence. To use a science term, frequencies go into coherence when they're working together, right? That's what we want, is our body to be in coherence. So that's the body dialogue method. There's kind of an advanced aspect of this, as you will, that involves another person, and that other person can actually help you do this. You can muscle test. You've heard of muscle testing, okay? So put whatever first of all, before you touch the food or you touch the thing that you're supposed to be eating or not, have your friend test your strength. Hold out whatever your dominant hand is. So I'm right-handed. And hold it just like you do at the doctor when they check your reflexes, and have your friend push your hand down. So all things being equal, it should be difficult to push your hand down, right? Now, pick up the food or touch the food or even think about the food that you want to eat. And this, not only food, drink, supplements, anything that you're going to put in your body, okay? Put that in the other hand and retest it. If you're not supposed to eat it, your friend will be able to push your hand down. I know if you've never seen this work before, it's like magic. Okay? But it works, okay? It works. So try that if you can with a friend. I think I see we're having some connection issues. I apologize for that. This is the first time around with this, but please come back and look at the recording. It should be crystal clear. We'll get this sorted out as we go forward. So that's the body dialogue method. And one more thing I want to talk to you about is integrating mindful eating with journaling, okay? Everybody talks about journaling. If you're in any kind of self-help or you've looked at any of the self-help gurus out there, what my belief is, you are your own guru, right? My job if I have one in this space, is to guide you to your own inner healer. You are the guru. You are the savior you've always been waiting for. So the more that you can get in touch with how your body works and how your spirit works, better. So integrating mindful eating with journaling really helps you, again, connect to all these practices that you may be trying out during the day. Some quiet time usually do before you go to bed, or maybe, when the kids aren't running around crazy and you got 15 minutes to yourself. Get out a journal and just write things that you remember about your impressions. Now, the journal, another thing like meditation that can seem overwhelming, right? A lot of people say, oh, I got a journal. You make it a thing you have to do. I'm not saying that, okay? Even if you write 2 or 3 sentences about your impressions, your journey with food during the day, that's awesome. That's more than you were doing before, right? So what I did kind of a couple of things with my food journal, if you will. I actually, when I was ramping up on eating differently and on the road to becoming vegan, I actually wrote down the stuff that I ate, and it helped. It really helped. Again, no judgment. This is not a book of judgment for you. This is a tracking thing, right? Especially everybody's different. And if you get triggered and you snack, for example, write it down. Or, if you remember it, write it down. You're not doing that so that you can, shame yourself. You're doing it so you can keep track of what you're putting in your body. That's it. And then what were impressions during the day? Even if it was negative self-talk, oh, I had that extra latte at Starbucks that I know has all kinds of stuff in it that's not good for me. So what? Write it down. Doesn't matter. For this stage, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to keep track. So the journaling will also, it's like a feedback loop, okay? In the moment when you're doing the mindfulness exercise and you're doing the tasting and you're asking yourself, how do I feel? That kind of thing. It will give you feedback into the journaling and vice versa. The journaling will make you remember, oh, this is how I felt. I remember that now. You probably wouldn't remember unless you were doing that intentional kind of exercise. The example I like to give people, why do you like cake and ice cream? Right? Objectively, you know that it's terrible, right? There's like nothing in either thing that's good for you. But that's a judgment. That's a blame shame cycle, and it gets you nowhere, right? You still are going to like cake and ice cream. That doesn't change anything. However, be mindful about it. When you're eating it, think about, why does this take me to a happy place? Oh, because when I was 8 years old, my mom ordered a special cake and all my friends were there, and it was just wonderful. I had such a good time, right? That's why you like cake and ice cream, right? So the more we can tap into that and be aware of it with no judgment and just take it in, now you're starting to get to a place where you can act on it to make change, right? But too often what we do is we jump to the change. Oh, I gotta lose 10 pounds. I gotta lose 35 pounds. I gotta lose 100 pounds, or I gotta go to the gym. I got whatever, right? You gotta do, gotta. Stop that. You don't gotta do anything. You gotta live, breathe, love, exist. That's about it. But you can make substantial change by doing this first. I've done it. I know hundreds of other people have done this on different levels. It works. And it's not about taking a pill or finding a guru or enrolling in a course. It is just learning the principles. Then you become your own guru. So I'm really happy to have been here and give you this information. And I just want to take a quick look at the comments here. Your body keeps score, and it's a great Your Body Keeps Score is a great book to reference. Awesome. Okay. I'm not familiar with that one, but I will check it out because all information is good information, right? I love that. This is great information. I'm not sure what's happening, but the connection keeps getting frozen. Got to run. Okay. Sorry about that. I kind of saw that pop up as it went by, but we'll get it. We'll get it sorted out. And please come back and look at the recording. And friends, I say this from my heart. I don't take the opportunity to get your attention for granted. And what I'm going to be doing with my shamanic energy practice is mind, body, spirit, soul, the four things, right? They're all part of the one thing, but they're four things. Substantial change, transformative, we have to look at all of them. And so my practice is going to be about that. And I'm going to be doing more live streams. I'm going to be doing some workshops where you can actually learn specific techniques about how to do some of these things. All faiths are welcome. Nothing I teach has anything to do with whether you're religious or not religious or spiritual or not spiritual. There's always going to be a pragmatic aspect to it. You just have to allow yourself to have a beginner's mind, as the shamans say. We get into the West where we want experts. Everybody has to be an expert, including yourself. But even if you are an expert, quote unquote, how do you learn things if you walk around saying, I know everything? You don't. Is the short answer. Have a beginner's mind. And if you can bring that to this information, you will get a lot out of it. So with that, friends, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for your time today. It was a pleasure, and I'll see you again on the next live stream or workshop. Aho!